And welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster.
And happy 50th episode, Midge!
It's our 50th episode!
Yay! Oh my
Woo!
goodness, it's so exciting. Yes, we teased this a little bit at the end of the last episode, but we are so excited to have 50 episodes, and we thought that we would invite you along to a little spooky sleepover show.
Yes, nothing is spookier than a little sleepover with your best ghoul friends.
Yes. I feel like all of my most ghoulish and spooky instincts came out as a child at a sleepover party. I feel like that is when we are the most feral.
Yes. Well, and yeah, that and like a lot of my core like memories of being kind of scared for the first time, I feel like
Mm,
kind of center around slumber parties and things like that.
yes.
I think for a lot of us it's also probably one of the first times we like stayed up that late into the night,
Right?
like
Yeah, it's
so
like you're
extra
staying
spooky.
up late, you're unsupervised for a good portion of it. Kind of
Mhm.
lets you get all your spookies out.
Get your spookies.
Get your spookies out.
Up until that point, all your spookies were just trapped inside.
Yes, they were all just rattling around in there, and then you have a sleepover and you just unleash them on the world like a Pandora's box.
Well, I know we have a couple of different things to talk about today. About like
Hmm.
spooky what I want to say, like traditions, I guess, sleepover
Yes.
traditions. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Oh, why don't you start? Tell me about a spooky sleepover tradition of your life, Midge.
Okay, so I wanted to talk a bit about the game Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board,
Mm.
because I think did well, first of all, did you ever play this at a sleepover?
It was attempted at a
It was
sleepover that I
attempted,
was at.
okay. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably have at least attempted this at one point or another. If you don't know what Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board is, it is a game typically played at slumber parties that basically one person is the like quote dead body and they lie down and cross their arms over their chest and pretend to be dead. And then the goal is for everyone else in the party to sit around them and try to lift them. However, you start by putting two fingers on each hand, like under the person's body, and then everybody tries to lift. And of course, it doesn't work because that's a human body.
Yes, because physics.
um, but then what would happen is someone would like, at least when my friends played this, someone would like turn out all the lights and we'd like light a little candle or something and we'd summon the spirits to help us lift the body. And then you gather around again, you all focus your energy, and then you start chanting.
Mm.
um, and the full chant, actually, I don't remember doing this full chant, but the full chant goes, "She's looking pale," and then everybody says, "She's looking pale." And then she's looking worse. She's looking worse. She's dying. She's dying. She's dead. She's dead. And then we all go light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. And then while you're chanting, you try to lift the body again. Um, I think a lot of people probably remember knowing about this. If you didn't play it at a slumber party and know about it as a kid, then you probably think of the film The Craft.
Yes.
When you think about this game, there's a pretty infamous scene of them trying to levitate Rochelle, which uh, is definitely not how it works, because they actually like then
Yes.
remove their hands completely and she's just like levitating in free air for several minutes. But this trick or game, this party trick, has actually been around for quite a while. The first documentation of it is as early as 1630.
Oh, wow.
And it was popular during plague times with children.
Sure.
Yeah, right. And there's some historians believe that like basically this was kind of a children's coping mechanism with
Yeah.
being surrounded by so much death, kind of this idea that they could raise the dead or bring back their friend or whatever, you know.
Hmm.
So the earliest recorded reference is found in the diary of Samuel Pepys, and he was speaking to a man named Brisbane who he referred to as, quote, a good scholar and a sober man. So, you know, you can
Yeah.
trust his
He's
word.
legit.
He's, yeah. um, and Brisbane saw four really young girls playing this game in Bordeaux, and they were doing a slightly varied version of the chant from what we do now. But obviously, this would have been en français, but
Yeah, we.
the English is here lies a dead body, stiff as a stick, cold as marble, light as a spirit. Rise now in the name of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And so the friend of Pepys, Brisbane, saw the girls do this with a small boy who was laying in the middle of the circle, and his record says that when they started chanting, they raised him up as high as they could reach. And then he figured that, of course, this was some kind of like trick. It's a very small child.
Yeah.
um, so he then challenged these young girls to do their magic on the cook of the house, who was a really large man. And then his record said that he was surprised that they raised him up in the same manner.
Mm.
So is this possible? There is some science behind this.
Yeah.
I had a couple successful like attempts in childhood. Of course, we're not like raising them, you know, far
Yeah.
far. um but there is some kind of like science behind this that basically when you first attempt it and everybody comes in and there's somebody leading this, you know, illusion,
Yeah.
right? So somebody will be like, everybody stick your fingers under and just try to lift it. And of course, at that point, you're all giggling and like uncoordinated, and everybody, you know, thinks it's like, they're like, oh, of course we can't lift it with our fingers. So it doesn't work. But this is interesting. Fingers are actually pretty strong. The
hot,
heaviest
hot breaking news. Fingers are pretty strong.
no, this is this is gonna surprise you though. It surprised
Okay.
me. The heaviest deadlift ever recorded by a pinky finger was 242 pounds
What?
by a single
By a
pinky.
single pinky?
So four fingers a person, you get, you know, 4 or 6 people around this one human body. It's not implausible that
Yeah.
this can be done. So, kind of the psychology and physics behind this is that once everyone is focused on the same goal, it is possible to achieve. And the chant plays a really big part in this because it kind of syncs everybody's brains up to lift at the same pace.
Yeah. I mean, I
And
guess, like, I mean, there's such a tradition of work songs or like
right.
heave ho, like sailing songs and stuff. It makes sense. You get on the right rhythm.
Exactly. So yeah, it links everybody up to lift at the same pace, and the weight's kind of evenly distributed around all these, you know, points. So it is possible for this to work. It is, however, not supernatural.
Yeah. I I don't think it was you. I had a friend tell me that they successfully lifted a friend's mom at a sleepover,
Ooh,
and
no, that was not me.
I was somewhat sus, but now that you tell me about how strong fingers are, I guess I
Well,
guess it seems more realistic.
I knew if I was going to convince you, Penny, I had to bring science.
Yes.
So,
Bring some
Midge's
sweet
science corner.
some finger science in Midge's science corner.
But yeah, this is a fun game. I kind of had a weird moment when I was looking into this. I thought, like, man, it would be such a weird time to be a kid right now, because
Yeah.
like when I Googled Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board, like one of the first 3 things to come up is just YouTube videos explaining why it works.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, man, that like takes all the mysticism like, you know, now
I know,
kids.
yeah. It was so mysterious in our day.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I was at a slumber party and this, like, you know, quote, worked. And for like days, I was spinning. I was like, oh my God, we summoned something. My word, you know?
My word.
And now it's like, kids can be like, why did that work, Google?
Oh.
I had to ask Jeeves, and he didn't know.
Oh
So,
no, Jeeves didn't know a lot of things. Well, I had a spooky sleepover friend who went by the name of Bloody Mary.
oh my
Uh,
god,
so this was
that's
one that
one time I'm
I
keeping
was
track.
I was legit very scared of this as a kid.
I was too. Honestly, I still don't think I would do this.
Yeah, yeah. So there is so as I was researching this, there is like a ton of variation in this urban legend.
Yeah.
So the version that I learned was that you go into the bathroom, you turn off
Mhm.
all the lights, and if you say Bloody Mary 3 times into the bathroom mirror, she will appear in the mirror and kill you.
Yeah, that is how I learned as well.
Apparently, in some versions, you have to say it 13 times,
That's too
which
much, Robin.
seems excessive. Some people say Hail Mary instead of
Oh.
Bloody Mary. And some people say that like the key phrase is I don't believe in Bloody Mary.
That just seems like you're really asking for it.
I know, right?
No need to taunt her.
Right. And obviously like this can be tied back to Mary the First of England. So this is what I heard the connection of Bloody Mary was. In some legends, it's connected to Elizabeth Bathory, which doesn't even make any sense because no one there is named Mary.
Maybe it's her middle name.
Yes. Or someone named Mary Worth, who does not appear to be a historical figure, but just kind of a made up person.
A
Um,
legend.
a legend. In some tellings, she will come and scratch your eyes out
Mm.
looking in the mirror, and in some they said that she will drag you back through the mirror to live with her.
That was like one of the ones I remember
Mm,
my friends saying is that like you would get pulled into the mirror with her.
yeah, and so this was never part of my kind of version, but apparently it's pretty common, the idea that you need to be holding a lit candle
Mm-hmm.
while you're doing this, but apparently, surprise surprise, this connects back to the Victorians.
The Victorians. I'm
um,
telling you, we're gonna have all these things that we need little theme songs for.
right.
Like,
uh,
it was the Victorians.
Yes. But they used to play candle divination games. And so
Mm.
the idea is that in a dark room by candlelight, if you looked into the mirror, you could glimpse your future husband's face.
Oh, did we talk about this at one point?
I think we did.
In the Ouija
Yeah,
episode.
I think so. Also, but I don't think that this was in the Ouija episode. Also, you would maybe see a skull if you were going to die before you got married.
Wah, wah.
Dun, 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 dun. That would be a
That was
bummer.
that was not in that episode. That's rough.
I know. I'd be like, that would be disappointing. But yeah, so the sources that I read were kind of connecting this idea of like candle summoning in mirrors. And I mean, mirrors are super spooky. Like
Yeah.
I have never liked looking at mirrors in the dark. I'm always afraid that I'm going to see something moving in there. And I feel like this is especially enhanced as a person who wears glasses. And so
Sure.
I don't see super well, so I'm always like, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna be like looking in this blurry ass mirror, and there's gonna be
A
something
shape.
like moving, like a murderer moving behind me.
Well, and if you are a spiritual person or like a person who practices any form of craft at all, uh mirrors are like considered portals to, and
Mm.
like I have all of the mirrors in my home sealed. I spend at least every like once a month I go around and seal the mirrors in my home. um if you have any mirrors in your bedroom like across from your bed, no, don't do that. Cover that at night, seal it up. Yeah, mirrors have a lot going on. I should do a mirror episode.
You should.
I'm
Mirrors are
thinking
very
about this
spooky.
now.
There you go. Put it on the list.
uh I I have a Bloody Mary story
Oh
if
yeah.
we're in a good spot
Yes.
for that.
Yes,
So
please.
this is one of actually, well, I have this entire evening, this slumber party I went to, is a core like seed of all of my trauma. So many scary things happened at this slumber party. So it was like when I was probably in, I want to say like first grade, and I went to a slumber party with a bunch of gals that I was in Girl Scouts with. And so I wasn't like super close friends with them,
Mm,
but I was like, I liked them, but we weren't like BFFs, you
yeah.
know? Um, so I wouldn't say I felt like I was in a safe space. um, so they were playing Bloody Mary, and the gal whose house it was like, "Oh, like you should go do this, we'll go in the bathroom, turn off the lights, like you said, you do it." Um and of course, you and I both, children who get spooked very easily. Um I got so scared. Like I did it. I said that I did the 3 times, but then, your brain like psychs you out and it thinks you're like seeing things, hearing
Oh
things.
yeah.
So I'm like running to like I'm like I'm done, I'm done. And these girls held the bathroom door closed on the
Oh.
other side so I couldn't get out, and I was in the dark bathroom just like crying and trying to I was convinced that she was coming to get me. Like I thought I was like, "Well, this is it. You're going to have to tell my mom I got trapped in a mirror.
Got killed by
She's going to
Bloody
be
Mary.
so mad."
Oh man, I am glad that the girls that I was with were never that ambitious, because I definitely was dared in a game of Truth or Dare to go do Bloody Mary in the bathroom,
Oh.
and I went in there and I didn't say anything and came out and was like, I did it, and everyone was
Ah,
like, yay.
good job.
So
Di-
thankfully no one was like listening at the door or like trying to hold me in, because I was just like, hell no, I'm not saying this.
Oh, so this is where your skepticism met its match. Was
Yes.
in the
Oh,
dark bathroom.
I was, yeah, little me was definitely concerned about Bloody Mary. I did once, I was at like a party at my godparents' house, and like
Mhm.
the only other like child to hang out with was like a much older boy.
Yeah.
And so of course, like we played some board games and stuff, like me and my sister and him and whatever. And then he was trying to get us in the bathroom to say little boy blue in the mirror, and
Oh,
I don't know if that's like a legit thing or not.
I
Um
I mean that like unlocked a core memory for me. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but he
Wow.
definitely, my sister and I went in the bathroom and were like looking at the mirror and trying to decide what we were going to do, and he like came running down and like pounded on the door and freaked us out.
Oh my gosh.
Very rude.
That segues very nicely into a story I'd like to share.
Ooh.
um I want to know if this ever happened to you or anyone else, because speaking of older kids being the worst, like, well, and I think you said that your sister, like at your slumber parties, would be like kind of the person who would like do a little bit of extra spookiness. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, occasionally.
um so I think this was that same freaking slumber party. But it was somebody's older sister. And do you remember, like, in the late 90s, this was like a really popular thing. I mean, it's still around, but it was very popular at this point. She showed us a video that was, it was like what a like a window, like a house wall with a window, and it's like this
Hmm.
peaceful, plants and there are clouds going by the window. And she's like, okay, now like focus on the window and try to find the cat when it
Oh,
walks by.
yeah, I know where this is going.
Yeah, and then it was a jump scare video,
Yep.
and it had the scariest face I've ever seen in my life pop up like in the right up in the screen, and we all screamed, and then my mom had to come get me later because I couldn't sleep.
Oh no. Yeah, I definitely, I very much remember like the early days of the internet, like screamer videos, and
Yep.
you would just be like, oh, and it was always like, count this or follow this with your eyes, and then it's like,
Yep.
ah, and you're like, ah.
The worst. The worst.
The worst. Oh man. Can I tell you about another spooky game that I used to play at slumber parties?
Oh, I wish you would.
So we used to do Ghosts in the Graveyard,
Oh, I don't think I
which,
know this one.
yeah, so this is like so I don't know if it's exclusively nighttime, but obviously at a slumber party it's a nighttime thing. But it's like a version of tag.
Okay.
So there's someone who's it, who is the, but it's kind of like an opposite tag. So like someone is the ghost, and they go and hide. And this is
Okay.
generally outside. And you go around,
Immediately no.
yes, you go around searching for the ghost. And when you find the ghost, you yell, "Ghost in the graveyard." And then everyone else has to try and run back to base before the ghost catches them.
Ooh, okay.
So it's like hide and seek that then turns into tag once someone is found.
That's
And
fun.
yeah, and so like this was definitely something that I was kind of on the fence about as a child because I did
Sure.
not very much like being outside in the dark.
Oh
Um
no, yeah.
and one of my friends, like I didn't live in like the country, but like it was like there were farms around, and like a lot of people
Mhm.
had like large like plots of land. And my best friend growing up, Gail, hi if you're listening, Gail, um she had like a huge backyard that had like a creek running through it, and like just like a bunch of tall grasses and stuff. So like people would like get pretty deep in there playing Ghost in the Graveyard. And I was always
Yeah.
kind of like, I think I was always like, I played the strategy where I was like, if I'll never find the ghost if I don't go further in hunting, but also I'll be closer to running back to home. So I would just kind of like pretend to be looking in like a not
You're
too scary area, but still
you're just lingering in like a liminal space.
pretty
Like
much.
just
I would kind of loiter until everyone was running and then be like, oh, uh-oh, get her, better run back to the base.
it's not called loitering in the graveyard, Penny.
No. I mean that could be the story of my life now. I just love to loiter in graveyards. So
Well, yeah, valid. It was actually a prequel. We
yes.
never played that. I think I would like that as an adult. I don't think as a kid
Yes.
I would have liked
Yeah.
that at all though. Yeah, I didn't like being outside. And then, honestly, I didn't like hide and seek very much for like the reason that I had to be alone somewhere like
Yeah.
small and just stay there in the quiet. And then there's like the anxiety of knowing somebody's gonna like, pop in and be like,
Pop in.
"Found you."
Yep.
I did you here's something I want to introduce into this.
Mm.
Do you recall like this did you ever get told like a really scary ghost story or just a scary story at a slumber party that stuck with you until like way too long into your your youth years?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Uh I do you remember it?
Oh my gosh. That as soon as you said that, I'm like, shoot, can I remember one? You tell one and I'll try
Okay.
and rack my brains.
Think on it because I would love to.
Yes.
I want to know if anybody else ever heard this particular story because literally to this day, I still think about it at the age of almost 30. So I was probably, I want to say, like fifth grade age. And this gal we were taking turns telling scary stories. And this gal told one that was about an old woman that lived by herself in her house with her dog. And every night, the old woman would get ready, go through her house, turn all the lights off, get ready for bed, and get in her bed and reach her hand down under the bed
Mm.
and get a lick from her dog as like a little comfort, like knowing her dog was there. And then she would pull, her hand back up and go to sleep. And one week, this drip sound starts waking her up in the middle of the night several days in a row. And she keeps kind of, the first couple nights she wakes up, she hears it. She thinks it's like, oh, that's, probably a faucet or something. She ignores it. And every time she wakes up, she would get a little bit scared, reach her hand down under the bed, get a little lick from her dog for comfort, and then go back to sleep. So after like 2 or 3 days of this, she gets really uncomfortable. She's like, there's something like not right. And she's going around her house looking for the drip. She can't find it. She goes downstairs into the bathroom in her basement. And when she pulls open the shower curtain, she finds her dog dead and hanging from the shower, like,
Ah.
what do you call it? Shower head?
Power head.
And his blood is like dripping in the tub. and attached to the dog is a sign that says humans can lick too.
I have heard this story. I have not heard about the humans can lick too sign. I do appreciate that puts like a really firm button on
A
it.
real strong button on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I have heard that story generally left to just like the slowly dawning horror that
Yeah.
someone was licking you, but oh man, yes, that one is super super spooky.
And literally, like, sometimes in the middle of the night, I will still think, like, humans can lick too to
Too.
myself. And I'll be like,
What? Ugh, I don't remember like the whole story portion of this,
Mhm.
but I was told a story at some sleepover or Girl Scout camp or something that had a person living in the walls. And
Ooh.
so I was constantly like, every time I heard something, I was just like, is there somebody in the walls? Is there someone living in the walls? And I would like, so I would like, my bed like was pressed up against a wall and I would just kind of like stare at it and be like, what if I saw like it moving? What if someone, and now as an adult, I understand that's not how drywall works. But as a child, I was just like, I could see it bubble out and there was a person behind the walls listening to me.
I'm laughing in my head thinking, like, kids today would just be like, oh, that's just Bruno. Like, we don't talk about Bruno.
No, but he's cool.
But he
It's
lives in the
fine.
walls. It's fine.
Oh my
No,
goodness.
that would be scary as a kid for sure, though. And like, uh, is it Nightmare on Elm Street 2 or 1 where the like he like is pressing like the wall's like elastic and he's
Yes,
like coming out of the
yes.
wall.
That is
That's
definitely
what
what
I'm
I was
picturing.
yeah, that is what
Yeah.
I was picturing in my
Yeah.
child brain.
Yeah, I don't like
Blah.
that.
Ugh. I wanna bring up the category of hypnosis and trances,
Oh yeah,
which
baby.
was, oh my goodness. So I will come clean here in 2022 and say that I used to pretend to be hypnotized all the time at sleepover parties. Like people would be like, "Oh my gosh, like you could totally like Jenny's so good. You could totally hypnotize her." And I was just like, this is I was like, this is my moment.
This
I'm
is my
this
moment.
is my moment. The people are interested. I'm going to give the people what they want.
Give him the razzle dazzle.
Exactly. I'm just like, I'm the center of attention. Perfect. I love it.
You're putting on a show. They're like, okay, now quack like a duck, and you're like
Yep.
doing a whole
Yep.
thing.
Fully. But so this was something that happened more at Girl Scouts. Did you ever, and maybe you called it something different, but did you ever play Concentrate?
I don't. If it's something we did, we didn't call it that. So
Yeah.
no,
So
not that I know of.
so you would sit behind another girl and like hold her by the shoulders and
Okay.
like kind of slowly circle her around, and it would be like, concentrate,
Yeah.
concentrate, and you would mime like
Yeah.
cracking an egg and you're like
Yes.
running the
Yeah.
yolk down, and then we would always, so our whole chant was, people are dying, children are crying, and then you'd be like, there's a knife in your
In
back
your
and the
back, and
blood
the
is
blood is
running
running
down.
down. There's a
Knife in
spider
your
on your
back.
back, and
Yep.
yeah, like yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and then at the end, you would be like, oh, you're standing at the top of a very tall building, and you're
Yes.
gonna count at the jump at like the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and you push her really hard. And apparently, that was supposed to let you witness the moment of your own death. So just a normal thing that
Just
elementary school girls want to know.
just a chill thing for kids.
Just a regular chill thing.
No, yeah, we did do that. I don't remember what we called it, but we absolutely did do that.
Right, yeah.
And that was, as a weird side note, was the first time I ever experienced like ASMR.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was like the first time I ever got like spine tingles and felt really like relaxed from that kind of, which is
That's
dark, but
it's true. I actually never having now as an adult experienced ASMR. Just you
uh-huh.
saying that now, I was like, oh yeah, I did feel that when
Yeah.
that was happening. I would feel like just at the like the base of your skull, like that kind of
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
tingly. I did. I also experienced ASMR.
There you go. And I think for a lot of people, that was probably the first, if not only time they've ever like really experienced it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I very specifically remember hating the part where they were like, "There's a knife," and they like punch
Yes.
your back with the
Mhm.
knife. Uh, Yeah, wow, I forgot all about that. And I think like because we did this, did you do the part with the spiders too, where you'd like tap your fingers up their back and it felt like spiders crawling up your back?
I don't clearly remember that. That does sound familiar. I mostly remember like the cracking an egg and like stabbing someone with a knife.
Yeah, I remember the egg and the night, and then yeah, we would like do like, you know, claw hands and like spider fingers up the back.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
remember that would, because this was right around the same time that Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, that I had read that, and my brain would always think about the girl that like had the spiders in her cheek,
Yes. Ugh.
and I would
Hate
get
it.
so like, ugh.
Terrifying. And so, okay, you said scratching. Did you ever play the cat scratch game?
That's sounding really familiar.
So it is in this same like category of like trancy
Y-
hypnosis things. So
Yeah.
like someone would lie on the ground and you like massage their temples and tell them this scary story about like this demon cat. I don't remember there being like a super like strict storyline here. It was kind of up to the user on what they were going to do there. But the idea was you told them this terrifying story, and if you flip them over right away and look,
They,
that you would see scratch marks on their back because of
yeah.
this demon spirit cat.
Yes. Yeah, we did do that. I do remember that. Wow. What a weird time.
I know. They okay, so do you I have one more like trance hypnosis thing to say.
Uh-huh.
Which is that I was preparing for this episode. I did ask my bestie Caitlin about if she remembered like spooky sleepover things, and
Uh-huh.
of course she immediately was like, "No, I don't think that we really did anything too spooky at sleepovers."
Uh,
And then proceeded
oh.
to tell me that she and her best friend, when she stayed over at her best friend's house, they would lie in bed, and her friend's older sister would make them close their eyes and tell them a story about how they were thrown on a wheelbarrow with a pile of dead bodies and they were like trapped in their own bodies, and she would like shake the bed for like realism, and I was like, you tell me that you didn't do anything spooky and this is what you come up with?
Yeah, not really. Just that thing where we were on a wheelbarrow full of dead bodies during plague era.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was pretty chill. Yeah.
Other than that, totally normal.
I'm I know it's not funny, but literally all my brain can picture is like, bring out your dead. Like
Exactly, right?
uh, that I never, yeah, that is not something I ever experienced. That sounds like maybe something of the sister's own
Yes,
creation, and
a
I don't care for.
custom creation, but I felt like went along with the theme of both trances, hypnosis, and also older sisters
And
and
also WTF children.
sisters causing problems.
I I read a really interesting, and I wish there wasn't enough in this article for me to really bring anything to this episode like
Yeah.
meaty, you know, but it is an interesting thought, and maybe we can try to just mentally expand on it a little bit. Um the idea that, because not that sleepovers are inherently feminine or, you know,
Yeah.
inherently women, like all only women present, um but I think it is a pretty universal experience for girls.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think all young men experienced a slumber party, whereas like pretty much I think most young female presenting people have.
Yes.
um so the kind of correlation between this article was talking about the correlation, but the woman that wrote it, uh I literally think the journal was called Levitation Revisited,
Ooh.
and it was, you know, dealing specifically with the history of light as a feather, stiff as a board, but then she expands into kind of the reason that young women are drawn to like these spooky things and witchcraft and these ideas at this age, and how it is kind of this linked almost to this prepubescent exploration of the nature of like, you know, what are we in control of,
Mm.
is there more, you know, to this life, is there like, is there magic, is that, can we control our divine feminine in some way? And I thought, like I said, it didn't have enough there, like meaty goodness for me to really like get into it, but I do think that concept is really fascinating because there is definitely something at this kind of young, like 7 to 10 age group where girls were very into this stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh,
and we're
very much.
and we're kind of, I think, maybe reckoning with the realities of life a little bit as we're starting to, go through puberty, go through all these changes. This is the age group where girls start getting mean too. So you're experiencing like the tough aspects of life for the first time. And I think it plays to this kind of larger idea of, even now, like as an adult, why I still love the macabre, because it does make me feel like there's something else, there's something, beyond my control that you just kind
Mhm.
of have to let go into it.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely, I think it's very true that it's like a time of boundary pushing, both
Yeah.
in like kind of like what is the world like what is real, and very much like social boundaries and kind of figuring out what you can do. Like, I mean, I think it's obviously the fact that like a lot of us have like Girl Scout experiences and stuff like that, where
Yeah.
you're within this kind of like defined social group where you're kind of like, let's see what's up with this. Let's see what we can do.
You can't
And
you can't convince me that Girl Scouts isn't a gateway drug to witchcraft.
yes.
We'll have to have a Miranda from Spooky Little Halloween come give her thoughts. But
Yes, but no, yeah, I feel like it is definitely like a period of time where a lot of girls are weird and feral, and I think that's wonderful.
I would
And
love a T-shirt that says "Weird and Feral."
put on the list for our next Ghouls
Our
Night merch.
next merch drop,
The
Ghoul.
next merch drop. Weird and feral, because I would say I aspire to continue to be as weird and feral as my like fourth grade self.
Absolutely, absolutely reclaim that power, Queen.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Uh, do you have other sleepover tales or traditions for us, or are we coming upon someone's dad making pancakes?
Oh, tell me about pancakes.
Just I feel like every time you would wake up and
Oh,
it
like
would be like
it's the
somebody,
morning.
yes, the morning.
I I was getting ready for you to tell me that like somebody's dad made like bat and skull shaped pan. I was like,
Oh,
I
that
want
would
to
have been
stay at
very
that
cool.
house.
I would go there.
No, yeah, it is. I think we are starting to wake up in the morning. Somebody's hand is in a warm bowl of water and they've peed in their sleeping bag. Someone else
Ah.
has a mustache drawn in Sharpie on their face. Midge has gone home and
Midge is still locked in the bathroom.
nobody knows where she went because her mom came and got her at 3 in the morning. She was scared. Penny's still talking to her dog on the Ouija board.
Yes. Ah, yes. If you guys have not listened to our Ouija board episode, tune into that one for a Ouija board sleepover story from me.
Probably my favorite story you've ever told on the pod.
Oh man, classic. But the sleepover is not entirely over, because if you are listening to this on the day it drops, we are inviting you to join us for a sleepover live stream tonight.
Whoa. Yeah, we're excited. We're going to be hanging out with you live over on Instagram, and we have some cool special announcements and surprises coming your way this evening as well.
Yes, so we will be going live at 7 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you're following along and jump in with us if you can.
Put on your PJs, come hang
Yes.
out, grab a snack, grab a drink.
Yeah, get a spooky snack. We will have
We'll
spooky snacks to munch.
we'll try to levitate you through the
Yes,
screen.
through
It'll
the
be
internet.
great. I'm gonna lock myself in the bathroom in the dark. It's gonna be great. You're not gonna be able to see me the entire live, but
Well, you need to bring a candle and you can recreate your beautiful Gersperms pic from when we were in LA.
oh, well, now we have to post that to the Instagram since you brought it up. So also follow us over at Ghouls Night In Pod
Yeah.
on Instagram to see the ugliest picture of me Penny ever took.
But delightful. Delightfully ugly. Oh, yes. And if you have enjoyed listening to us, we so much appreciate that. If you want to take some time and give us a rating or a review on your podcast app of choice, that really helps us out. And I actually have a 5-star rating today from Zenith H entitled
Oh.
Creepy Crawlies to Give You the Warm and Fuzzies. And
Another great merch item
yes.
that we need to consider.
Zenith writes, I have been a follower of Midge Munster for about 2 years, so naturally I had to check out every one of her ventures. I quickly came to love the banter she and Penny have. I binged 47 episodes in 5 days and am already eager to start it all over again. Oh my goodness. I love hearing their personal stories and learning more about all the macabre topics that give us the warm and fuzzies. They perfectly balance a mix of kook, creep, and intrigue while always making it informative. I would love to hear an episode about the history of cadavers in UT's body farm.
Oh
Which,
yeah.
stay tuned, Xena.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
Hmm.
Zenith had messaged either the pod or messaged me or both,
Yeah,
maybe.
I think I saw on the pod one.
Yeah, and mentioned this as well. And Penny and I chatted a bit about it. So yeah, I'm excited because I didn't know that existed. So yeah, stay tuned.
Much to learn. And when you're done following at Ghouls Night In Pod on Instagram, you can come and look for me. I am at Penny Snark on Instagram, Twitter, just anywhere that you want to find me.
And you can find me across all platforms at Midge Munster. I'm going to do a shameless self plug for a second
Go
because
for it.
if you are here as a Penny fanghoul, as you rightfully should be, but you do not follow me over on YouTube, go give me a little check out because it is 2 days until my birthday right now when you are listening to this.
Yay!
And I am just so close to 40K on YouTube, and it would be the best birthday present ever. So if you like what we do here, you would love what I do over there. Go check it out. It would mean a
Yeah.
lot to me.
Give that ghoul a subscribe.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right.
Wow. 50
Well,
episodes.
50 episodes. It is, oh my goodness. It is crazy. It's crazy that we've come so far. I feel both like we've barely started and also like we've been recording this forever.
Yeah. It's been I know you're gonna be mad at me because Penny doesn't like when I get sappy, but I have to get
Go ahead.
sappy
Go
for
ahead.
10
It's a sappy
seconds.
time.
This has been literally my favorite project I've worked on since becoming a content creator, and
Wow.
Penny was so kind as to be the one to reach out to me and ask me to do this with her. And it is always a pleasure working with you, my friend. This is just such a blast to record with you. And thank you all so much for listening to us and letting us have this weird corner of the internet where we talk about weird stuff we like to research. It's just
Yes.
an absolute joy, and we appreciate you so much.
Yes, and I will say right back at you. This is definitely my favorite thing that I've made, maybe ever. I love making it. I love talking to you every week, and it is just a wonderful experience. And I'm so grateful for all of our spooky listeners who tune in and enjoy all of our rambling
Our,
asides
our
and
musings.
our musings, the science corner, the the Milwaukee connections, all of the good stuff
The
that makes up.
Victorians.
Yep, those crazy Victorians make up our wacky weird podcast. So thank you so much for listening, and we love you.
And that is all until next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.